Squid Squad!
Hi, I'm Lola. I'm an emotional introject, and I will be reading from a script that I made. And I'm nervous. This is my first actual video, so be nice. Okay. So the definition of an introject is an unconscious psychic process by which a person incorporates into their own psychic apparatus the characteristics of another person or object. I will have a link for my definition in the description, as well as links to other videos which may help explain more than I can about some things. Penny, come here. Penny, come here. Penny doesn't want to come here. So what are introjects in the D.I.D community? There are 3 types of introjects in my experience. Come here, Penny. Sorry, I want my cat. She's my service cat, so she makes me feel better when I get nervous. There are 3 types of introjects. There are emotional introjects, which is what I am. There are factives, and there are fictives. Now, I will go over what a factive is and a fictive, and I will also go over Kenny's, because I see nothing about Kenny's, really, so I had to have somebody in the D.I.D community explain it to me. So, oops, I went too far. See, I wrote a script, and I'm just not gonna cut it, like, at all. If I do cut it, it'll be to show what I look like before and after, because on my script I don't have how we can get better. But I will explain that closer to the end of the video. Factives are alters who take on the appearance or mannerisms or mannerisms of people that exist in real life. So, say a caregiver or a family member or a friend, maybe even a teacher. Those are some examples of personal relationships that can influence a factive. I'm sorry. I normally don't talk this much, and I'm hoping I'm talking loud enough. Sorry about the cat in the background, she's in heat. And a Penny, stop. Penny. Come here. Come here, Penny. Come here. Come here. I love you. Stop it. I will lock you out of the room. I'm okay, Penny. I'm okay, I really am. A non-personal factive would be Queen Elizabeth, for example. Don't worry, I just pushed her a little. So like Queen Elizabeth, or somebody that you see in the tabloids, or I know a couple of systems actually that have both the Dissociated, I'm gonna post one of their videos. Well, I'm not gonna post it, I'm gonna put it in the link below the description. And there's also alters from Team Pinata. And that those count as factives because they're not actually people that they're based off of, but what you see and how they made you feel. So, on to the next one, which is fictives. Fictives are basically like factives, except for their source of origin is from fictional fictional outlets. Would that be what it's called? Anyway, so such as a book or a movie or a TV show. I'm actually following somebody who has a fictive. I don't know very many people that do personally, but I've seen many accounts on which they have fictives and very fictive heavy systems. Anyway, both of these types of alters, factives and fictives, can also be non-human. So there is a difference between factive and fictive non-human alters. A factive non-human alter is anything that exists in the world while an alter is fronting. So say a singlet, a person that does not have D.I.D, that would be their world constantly, aside from dreaming. So the world that they experience while they are awake is another world that an alter experiences while they are fronting. And while that alter is fronting, any animal that exists in the world at that point in time can be an alter, such as a pet, or maybe it's something you consider a totem. You just gotten a really close connection to that totem. Or it could be an animal at the zoo that you love coming to visit. So those are examples of factive non-human alters. Fictive non-human alters can also be alters that exist in this life, but they might be able to speak English, although I do believe that some Penny's getting on my last nerve. I do believe that some factive non-human alters can learn to speak English, or not necessarily English, any human language. I probably shouldn't have said English the first time, but that's my first language, so it's the first one I think of, and I apologize if I offended anybody. Anyway, fictive non-human alters can be, as long as they come from a book or a TV show or a movie, they can be considered fictives, but these are, let me think. Examples of these would be Smaug from The Hobbit, or Lady Amalthea from Last Unicorn. In these types of alters are formed through strong feelings of what the source makes another alter feel. So another alter has to exist before a factive or a fictive can be Penny. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so in order for a factive and a fictive to exist, another alter has to exist prior to them. Whether it be a core alter, an alter that is dominant and unaware of the rest of the alters at a very young age, or it can be an already established system, which means it has two or more alters prior to the fictive or factive existing. So another alter has to feel these extreme feelings towards these characters or people, so much that they split off into those people or characters or whatever you want to call it, Yeah, it's all just due to a very strong feeling towards those characters and what those characters made them feel, such as safe or maybe scared in some cases. In quite a few cases, factives are people that they were scared of, but they can also be people that made them feel very much so comforted and safe. And that's what people at D.I.D really look forward to, is the feeling of safety. And I can still hear my cat. Anyway, on to the next point is Kennies. Kennies are not part of the D.I.D community, and I'm gonna say this, so take it with a grain of salt, unless there is an already existing altar, meaning that 2 or more altars are already in the system, and one of those altars that already exist feels a strong connection to that character, but realizes they are still a separate person. So I could be wrong, but I will say that Kennies are closer to cosplayers or fanfiction writers. They feel very, very close to that character, but realize that they are not. And I believe that Kennies are only confused with fictives, but there is a difference. I'm not saying that Kennies are not a complete part of the D.I.D community. I'm saying that in order for them to be a part of the D.I.D community, they must have 2 or more altars. 2 or more states of consciousness, I may say. So, not states of consciousness, but identity. I will say this a couple times in my videos, but if I am wrong about any of this, because I only know my source of being, which is an emotional introject. So please educate me in a kind way if I am wrong. Alright, yeah, sorry, my script is on my laptop, which is part of the reason why it's being filmed on my laptop. My friend's not gonna be happy because it's not gonna look good, but if it makes it easier on me, I don't normally talk this much. So back to introjection. What is an emotional introject? An emotional introject is a feeling that an alter was feeling strongly before the introject existed. So, in my story, we had a little who was just a regular child at the time. There were no other alters, just Squiddy. And Squiddy didn't feel safe. Squiddy was constantly bullied over very minute things, and with one of her caregivers, he was, I think you understand what I'm saying, so I don't want to trigger anybody. But yes, because Squiddy felt so unsafe and like she couldn't trust anyone, she felt like she couldn't go on. And that's a lot of emotions for a 7-year-old. That's too early to do things that she was thinking of. So I took on that burden. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't want to be this way. I don't want to be depressed all the time. I don't want to be that alter that nobody wants to talk to. But for a while I was. And that was kind of okay at the time because that was my role. I was meant to take on the depression and the ugliness of the world so that Squiddy could live a fulfilling childhood. It did not help all the ways, but he does have PTSD. But I did take in a lot of what she was feeling so that she could at least try to have a normal childhood. Alright. Another thing about that, another big thing about being an emotional introject. Well, not being an emotional introject per se. So you can be depressed even if you don't have an emotional introject. Alters can be depressed even if they are happy alters because they are, after all, as much a person as anybody that doesn't have D.I.D. D.I.D is simply the brain compartmentalized to live life without the burden of constantly knowing what's going on and how, well, shit the world is. So, next I want to say is I want to put up a picture of what I used to look like, which was done on The Sims 4. I do recommend it. It's really nice. It gives alters a chance to live their own life without being stuck in the body and to see themselves in the outer world, so say. Anyway, off my little pedestal. This is what I used to look like. And this is what I look like now. So the reason I look like this now is not for unhealthy reasons, but because I found somebody in my life who saw me as more than the depressed one. And the weird part is he was another alter. Now I do have somebody on the outside world who does also make me feel like that. So I've had two people who really boosted my progress, but the first was Bo. And when Bo came out, he was trying to be friends with everybody, and that included me. And I kind of pushed him away at first. I don't normally want to talk to anybody. But he started me off by having my hair in a ponytail, so I could show my face more. And my acne is one of my insecurities, so it actually helped clear up my face a lot. And then he said that I could continue to eat. I'm sorry if that triggers anybody, but I do have EDs. But he suggested that I choose healthier snacks, such as like munchies, like veggie chips and apple chips. So it looks unhealthy, but it is healthy. So that's how we started it off. I began exercising more. I started to speak my mind more and just overall work on being a better person and trying to find things that interest me. So before I didn't like anything. My personality was I am depressed. But now I like reading, and I like candles, and I like tea. I like rainstorms. It's a really hard journey to figure out what you like when you've been living in the dark for so long, but I promise you, this isn't all you are. You can be more. You can be more than your source. And if you're depressed all the time, you can be happier. You just need to work on it. And that's really hard to do, even with years and years of therapy. But it all starts with experimenting and finding what you like. And the last thing I have to say, because it is very close to home for us, one of our biggest triggers is the word faking. Because we've been called it so much throughout our entire life. Behind our back and to our face. Even today, my coworkers don't believe that I don't have it, but they won't say it to my face, which I find is ironic considering everybody speaks their mind here. D.I.D is formed from childhood trauma and a heavy ability to dissociate. And we did have very heavy childhood trauma. We felt like we couldn't survive ourselves or others because I'm gonna say it, the abuse was so bad. And it wasn't even really physical. I mean, some of it was, but most of it was the words that people said to us. The words that I became. Ugly, fat, stupid, gloomy, worthless, ugly, snaggletooth. Now, you hear these words every single day of your life. You are terrified to get out from bed in the morning, and you're terrified to go to sleep because you know you'll have nightmares, and you'll be told to go back to sleep. And then as soon as you wake up, you're off to that horrible place again. And it feels like a never-ending loop of torture. And the only way to survive it is to not know about it, to have other people protect you, but those other people, they only live in your mind. Only imaginary people will be your friends. That's what it feels like, and that's what happened. D.I.D, forgive me for saying this, because I know some people will take offense, but D.I.D is like imaginary friends gone rogue. Yeah. So if anybody thinks that I want to fake this for 15 years and counting, then I feel like you should look at yourself and figure out what is wrong with you that you legitimately first time think, oh, this can't be real, you're faking. What right do you have to tell me I'm faking without looking further into it? What right do you have to tell anybody that? This is Lola. Thank you for watching my video, if you did. If you didn't, that's fine. I'd expect.